Howdy, welcome back to the shop. Today we're back on the 99 Blazer and we're going to replace the front seal up here. Now, all of these Blazers leak and they leak from everywhere. That's just kind of the sign of a 4.3 or Chevrolet in general, is the massive oil leaks. And when I say massive, I don't mean that it was pouring out quarts of oil, but everything underneath of a Chevrolet is always wet. So that's how you know you've got oil in them. So we're going to kind of try to get rid of some of the underbody anti-corrosion efforts that Chevrolet makes. And we're going to take the flywheel pulley off, and then we'll get the harmonic balancer puller out and pull the balancer off. So I'll get this thing out of the way, and then we'll meet again later. So we're getting our harmonic balancer puller put on here. Now this is just a El Cheapo from O'Reilly's. I don't even remember the part number on it. Shut that lid on there for me, buddy. Okay, that's a part number 67007 harmonic balancer puller from O'Reilly's. It's the EverTough brand. So I'm going to get this run on up, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're about to come off of here, and I wanted to talk about, I guess some of yous don't know what a harmonic balancer puller is. That's what it is. It's made to pull harmonic balancers, steering wheels, just things of this nature. So if you try to take a 3-jaw puller in here and get a hold of the outside edge of this, you'll notice there is a rubber ring that separates this. If you try to pull this from the outside, you will destroy this harmonic balancer. Don't do that. You know, I think this tool was $50 if it was that much. Don't screw around using the wrong tool to do something. And this makes the job a whole lot more pleasant. So there's the balancer off. Easy peasy. So I'm going to take the key out, and you'll notice the factory had applied a sealant. I may not even take that out, but the factory had applied some sealant to the end of the crank snout and probably to the inside of the harmonic balancer down here. Now that sealant, you can always get a little bit of oil wicking up through the little gap in here between the inside of the harmonic balancer and the outside of the crank snout. So it is a good idea to apply a little bit of sealant in there. So I'll get this out of the way, and we'll go from there. So on the snout of my harmonic balance here, bumped the camera, sorry Jad. On the snout here, you can see where the seal lip had been rubbing. Now, there's some coke on here from the engine oil, but there's nothing on that shiny spot right there that catches my fingernail. So that's going to be okay. I'm going to put this on my lathe and just polish it up a little bit with some very fine emery cloth, just mainly to take this filth off of here. And that'll be just fine. I may even just do that in my lap. Mainly I just want it clean. I don't care about this little gouge right here, because like I said, that's not even big enough to catch with my fingernail. So here's the seal, and we'll get that yanked out next. And I'll show you my fancy tool for pulling that. So here we go with our extra special fancy tool. And here's the other half of our extra special fancy tool. And there you go. Easy peasy Japanese. Now you do want to be fairly cautious with this front cover because these are plastic, not aluminum. So you want to, use general precautions there. Don't be stupid. You know, life hurts a lot, but it hurts worse if you're stupid. So you can use a slide hammer on these, and I've done that before. But I just thought I'd show this off because, you know, not everybody's got a slide hammer. And there's not always time or room to get a slide hammer in there. So just a screw and a crowbar works really good. So let's put the new seal back in there. All right, then. I've got my seal here. I've got a little bit of grease on the sealing surface, and I'm just going to kind of stick it in there with my fingers. As crooked as I can possibly get it. Okay, and so I made up this little, all this is about a 5/8 thick piece of 2-inch plastic PVC pipe, just sewer pipe. Had it laying out behind the shop. And this little puck is part of a driver kit. And this is the crank bolt. I don't like beating seals in if I don't have to. A lot of times you can be galming around knocking a seal in and end up knocking the spring off the back side of the seal. And that's not the best thing you could possibly do. Now this is not an impact driver, this is just a drill. And let's see, I've got her started crooked. Let's see if we can pull it in there. There it went. There we go. Now, again, you don't want to get stupid with this because this is plastic. Don't be beating around on a plastic piece. All right, so I've got some grease on the outside of the snout here, and I've got the inside full of silicone. So it's time to put this back on here. Now you want to, when you're cleaning all this up, you want to pay particular attention to this lead-in chamfer and make sure that that's not all rusty or got a bunch of coke or crud on it, because if it does, that could prick the wiper part of the seal here. So my keyway is pointing this away, pointing to 3 o'clock, so I'm going to start purposefully misaligned. And I'm going to push this on here, and then I'm going to rotate, and there it went. So I know my key is lined up. Now I'm going to give this a couple of gentle taps. Oh, bolt won't start yet. Okay, I'm going to go get me a block of wood and a little bit bigger hammer and tap that on down in there. Now tapping on this won't dislodge the spring off of the seal the way that tapping on the seal would dislodge the spring. So, and we're not going to be stupid about this. We're not trying to be Babe Ruth here. We're just trying to push that on there. Ideally, I would go to my bolt bucket and I would find this 7/16 or 3/8 fine thread bolt, but I'm too lazy. I'm just going to beat her on there. All right, so we're about to button her all up. I've got it sucked back up on there as far as it'll go. Hey, you bumped the camera. And you know, that's simple enough to understand. I just put the bolt in it, sucked it up on there until the ugga-dugga quit doing ugga-duggas, and then took the bolt out. Okay, so this is a 7/16 fine thread bolt. Torque spec on this is somewhere around 50 pounds. Honestly, if I can get it to 50, I'll be really happy. I ain't got no way to hold the engine right now other than, well, just ain't got no way to hold it. So I'm going to do my best here. Whoop, I guess I need to snock it.
Snock it.
And we'll see what happens. There we go. Oop, I kicked the camera. There we clicked. One more time. There we go. And drop the socket. Quit. So I dropped the socket on the floor, did a contortionist act, but we got her back apart, or back together. Now you did notice that I probably, or you might have noticed that I used a little bit of Loctite. When I put things together, I'm a big fan of Loctite for no other reason than Loctite will seal the moisture and the corrosion out of the bolt. You know, it's filling up all the little gaps between the bolt and the threads so that it doesn't corrode. And I've taken some stuff apart, you know, obviously not in high heat situations, but taking stuff apart that was in really nasty corrosive situations and that I had put together with Loctite, just drenched in Loctite. And when you take it back apart, since the Loctite has sealed all the moisture and sealed the oxygen out of the threads, it just comes back apart. Now, this is cheap Harbor Freight. I wouldn't trust this any further than I could throw it. This is not for mission critical stuff, but it's cheap Harbor Freight Loctite. It's probably one step up from blue paint. And that's what I use for things of this nature, that if it does come loose, which, I mean, this didn't have Loctite on it from the factory, so a little bit's, even what the Harbor Freight stuff is doing is better than what it was from the factory. But if you can't anti-seize it, put Loctite on it. If it's not a everyday servicing part, put Loctite on it. If it's something that you know that you're going to have to take back apart, put anti-seize on it. So there you go. I guess we're done on this little part of the project. I guess for now.
We all drive safe and watch for deer.
That's right. Y'all drive safe and watch for deer.